Today, have had many discussions with friends and also lectures about Christian faith, other faiths, and many hard questions Christian face today. And today I choose this topic because I think it's very important for ministers, pastors, Christian leaders, and observers of Christians so that we prepare ourselves to understand about worldviews. Now, faith that answers the hard questions. I'm gonna scroll down to my presentation as well. So it might not take very long. I want you to pay attention, your full attention. Probably if you have pen and paper, you can write it down as we go along. My name is Mon, and I have been trained in a seminary for 10 years. And I am also trained in university for my postdoctoral degree as well. I have been in Christian ministry for more than 25 years, and I'm still now. I'm focusing on podcasting when I have time. Okay, the very foundation of Christianity is Jesus Christ, and he say, "I came to testify the truth." Pontius Pilate, what is truth? The hard questions. Number one is evil. What is evil? And why is there evil? Why is there suffering? The problem of judgment, the problem of sin. Now we need to look into worldview first. What is worldview? One's worldview is the perspective one uses to process and interpret information received about the world. According to James White, sir, put it this way: a worldview is a set of presupposition, or I will say in regular English or normal English, assumption, which we hold about the basic makeup of our world. Other worldviews, the leading philosophies of our day, like naturalism, scientism, materialism, and there are other views as well, postmodernism, focus on the loss of truth. According to Dallas B. McCon, he said Christianity is scientifically unsupported and probably unsupportable, philosophically suspect at best, and disreputable at worst, and historically fraudulent. Can you understand such accusation of Christian faith? Are you able to prepare to counter those kind of accusation? Let's look at a good worldview defined. Number one, it is true. It is consistent with the reality, or it works. B, it answers satisfactorily the questions people really want answer. What is prime reality? The ultimate cause, the nature of God. What is my value as a human being? What happened to a person's at death? Or what happens after a person's die? How do we know what is right and wrong? What is my purpose on earth? What is the reason for living? What is the nature of my relationship with the prime reality? It causes those who hold it to be better people than they would otherwise have been if they held to competing alternative views. Let's look at naturalism on or scientism or materialism. It's the belief that the only reliable or valid instrument to deciding the truth or even the value of any proposition is a scientific method. Simply meaning Everything we can know about everything is based on science. No basis for ethics and morality. That is the only definition. No supernatural, no God, no truth, except that found by science. No consciousness. No I. Justice is a figment of our imagination. What do you think? Let's look at materialism. It says we exist as material being in a material world, all of whose phenomena are the consequences of material relations among material entities. In a word, the public needs to accept materialism, which means that they must put God in the trust can of history where such myths belong. According to Richard Levitin, he quoted from Easy on Carl Sagan in January 9, 1997, New York Review Books. That's materialism. Put aside God, put in the trust room. That's what they say. And the public, they were asking the public to put. That's materialism. Everything that we own, material. The thing that you can see with your eye, your house. And the other view, philosophical view of truth is postmodernism, the loss of truth. Truth, if such thing exists, is the property of culture. So according to postmodernism believes that there's no absolute truth because each culture, whether you live in India or Africa or in the West, whatever truth is there, it's a creation of your own culture. Because each culture, all people's group, all tribes created their own truth. There is no absolute truth. All truth is relative. It is created by society. There is no ultimate moral authority or moral absolute, according to postmodernism. Can we live with that? What if killing is not wrong? I guess they don't want to live in that culture. Now, how do we respond to naturalism or materialism or scientism? These are philosophies that is confronting us as a Christian on a daily basis. People like some of you, people like me, who work with very smart people every day, who read about science and everything they want to do is based on science. The first thing I would like to say is it is a faith or religious belief based on circular reasoning. It cannot answer the question the human being care about. It is patently and demonstrably false. Does accepting naturalism make us better? These are the questions you need to ask before you answer. Yes, science is very important. We need science everyday life, medical science, physical science, any kind of science we need, including environmental science. Science can answer time, like when. It can answer what. It can answer where. It can answer how many. And also by what means. Because science can test all those things. But there are things that science is out of touch. It cannot access to. It cannot answer. That Christianity can provide reasonable answers. And number one will be why I am here, why I am alive. All is that the right thing to do? How valuable am I? Does God exist? Does God act? Will that God respond if I pray? Do supernatural events or miracles happen? Why is there evil and suffering in the world? So these questions are not answered by science because they are not testable. You don't test these things on a lab or a scientific lab. These are reasoning of come from a conscious mind to answer about life and its value or its meaning or its purpose with reasoning. If materialism is right, if they are right, that means I do not exist. Consciousness is just a random moving around chemicals. Can chemical produce consciousness? That's a big question. And also, no soul, no spirit, or no non physical reality because I cannot see, there is no reality according to materialism. Life has no value. My life has no value because I am just material, a composed of chemicals. Human beings have no value. What is value? And in fact, love is chemical moving around. So if I love somebody, I love my kids, I love my friends, I love my parents, I love my siblings, and I love other people. Is it just chemical? If it's just chemical, if I hate somebody or I kill somebody, that means it's just the chemicals moving around, and there's no wrong of killing someone else because it's just chemical. Do you get my point? Now let's look at naturalism. Naturalism is patently false because the universe is created or the universe was created. There was a universe, there was a galaxies. Life was created. It just doesn't pop up from the ground or from the earth. Life was created. The anthropic principle, the universe is ridiculously well fine tuned for us to live. The universe, the art created, or the weathers, the sun, the soil, the water and the trees, the the winds, everything is perfect to sustain the life we have. No one in their right mind can deny the existence of right and wrong. Yes, there might be different in judgment of different culture when it comes to right and wrong, but the fact that every culture has right and wrong in their own culture, no culture has ever come up with there's nothing exists. They have the very foundation where they can measure what is right and wrong, including the animals. Of course, the last one will be a Christian sound like the Bible we believe is the Word of God. Probably that will be a big dilemma for people who does not believe in the Bible. That will be another topic. If you have questions about the reliability and truthfulness of the Bible, then it will come in the next lectures, probably, I'm not sure, a month from now. But please tune in if you want to listen about that. Now, does naturalism tend to make its believer better people? If you are a believer of nature, does it make you a better person? Good and evil are meaningless idea for them. If you are believing in nature is all there and nothing else, no God, no Jesus, that means good and evil has no meaning because it's just nature. Killing someone, there's no right and wrong because it's neither good nor evil. Our purpose, if it exists at all, is to pass on our DNA. The reason we have children would be only to pass our DNA, and there's no other purpose. Any kind of sexual behavior is as right as any other. Stealing is probably good if you're stealing good, because if you are believing in, I mean, nature or naturalism, that means there's no meaning of sexual advances or abuse of someone else because it's a moving of your chemical around your body. There is nothing inherently evil about genocide, racism, slavery, or killing because it is the moving of nature, which is your brain is nature. The chemical in your brain, the chemical in your body is all just nature. So naturalism does not stand very, very strong at all. It fails in all these tests. Let's look at postmodernism, or it's come cultural relativism. Truth. Is it true for you? But it's not true for me. That's I heard almost every day because I work with lots of people from different culture, different religions, and they say that's true for me, but I don't know if that's true for you. I can understand that, but in reality, when you dig deeper in life, when it comes to life and death matter, it's not about what is true for you and not true for me. You cannot have different rules on the road if you're using the same road. You have to use the same road. If you use different rules on the same road, you cross every day. Therefore, if we live in a society, we need to have the same standard that will help us to judge on what is good and evil, not based on my feeling. No rational way to discover which is the best worldview. If you are following postmodernism. Now, the problems with this is it's self-refuting. If nothing is true, then postmodernism is not true. Its author insists on authorial privilege. I do not care what they say. Some things are just true. Either God is real or he is not, even if I cannot prove it one way or another. Now, I want to focus a little bit on now the Christian worldview. According to the Christian worldview, which is my standpoint, the universe, when I say the universe, everything included the earth, the galaxy, the suns, and everything's in it, is real. Yes, it's real. The creation is good, evil exists. Whether you live in a remote place in Africa or in Asia or in the West, like Australia, evil still exists. You have seen and experienced evil in the lives of many people. Despite what naturally say, there is a spiritual reality. For example, I exist. Conscious is not simply an epiphenomenon. Conscious exists. Science and Christian worldview do not contradict, as many people thought. Probably, if you think, you need to look deeper into your science and read some of the top books on ethics. So, what are the solutions? Christianity offers solution to the big problems of human being. Number one, the problem of evil. Second will be the problem of suffering. And the third one is the problem of death. Christian worldview has given us science. It also given us abolition of slavery. You look at the history of England, Wilberforce story. You look at the Martin Luther King Jr. in the United States and in many other places. It has given us civil rights. It also given us women's rights. Nowadays, Christian groups do a majority of all benevolent work in the world. Um, we will not talk every detailed thing about those. So, two good questions. Does evil exist? Second, if God is all loving and all powerful and all good, then why is there evil? Why people are suffering? Let's focus on that. Number one, the answer is God's love. God is love does not mean that He controls everything, including you. He gave us free will. God gives us a choice to believe Him or not to believe Him. He doesn't force you to believe. He has given you a choice. Whatever you want to believe, whatever choices you can make, you can make. Why? Because that is love. The result, we rebel and brought evil into the world. Is this God's fault? What is the alternative? That's where the Christian faith came. About Adam and Eve, who brought sin into this world with Satan, but God gave us the alternative. So, free will, an illustration about the prodigal sons in the Bible. We'll not look into details about the prodigal son. Some of you already know about it, but it was about the son who ran away from home, taking all his rights or heritage that the father has given. And then when he spent everything, he has no place. He came back home and asking his father for forgiveness. He has a choice to run away from home. He has a free will to choose whether to live with the father or to leave home. He chose to leave his house, his family, and went to a far land where he enjoyed life. That was an example. Now, apologetic and evil. What are the alternative? So dualism say good and evil in an unending more or less equal balance. Then pantheism believe the physical world is evil. Evil is being tied down to the physical world. It is missing the godlike in you. Naturalism say there is no evil. Postmodernism, what is evil? Determinism, faith God is the cause of evil. And Christianity and the problem of evil, let's look at that. Evil is very much rare. We have seen every day. Quite indirectly, it is the product of God's love. God loved us so much that He loved us and that He gave us a choice. We choose evil, and thus evil came into the world. Remember your alternative predestination, determinism, God is the cause of evil. Deny evil exists. Physical creation is evil, but you are God. An unending battle, balance between good and evil all the time in our life. Sorry, in our world. If you look at the problem of suffering, suffering is not evil. Sin is evil. But much suffering is caused by our choice to sin. I'm not saying everything, but it's the choice of someone else to commit sin that brings suffering to many people. Not all sufferings are due to sin, according to the book of Job. If you read the story of Job, it was not due to his sin that he was suffering. You can also find in Gospel John chapter 9. Christianity's answer to suffering, number one, compassion. Jesus himself wept for Jerusalem. He had compassion. That's the answer. Julian the Apostate around 332 to 363 BC, AD. You say atheism, Christian faith, has been specially advanced through the loving service rendered to strangers and through their care for the burial of the dead. It is a scandal that there is not a single Jew who is a beggar, and that the godless Galileans care not only for their own poor, but for us as well. Well, those who belong to us look in vain for the help that we should render them. This is a person, the apostate, admiring about the care Christian people made in that age. The problem of judgment, Romans chapter 3, verse 10 and the following. There is no one righteous, not even one. Revelations chapter 20, 15 say, if anyone's name was found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. 21 verse 8 and the following, the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. Revelation chapter 20 verse 10 say, they will be tormented day and night for even and forever. Does God choose to send us to hell? No, we choose hell, and God, in His justice, accept our decision. Is suffering in hell literally eternal? Or is joy in heaven literally eternal? I want you to find deeper as we study these important topics. Let's look at like love and justice. For God so loved the world. So He loved, we know that, recognize His love. But you have to remember the wages of sin is death, according to Romans 6:23. And what's the wages of sin? It's death. The law of sin and death, according to Romans chapter 8, verse 2. So we would like God's love, but we are not so far up about His justice. Because God is not only also full of love, or He is love, He is also just. It's not just only one. So when we reach heaven, we will understand and fully appreciate on the emotional level God's justice. We can't explain fully about His justice. But if you want to look into the book of Revelation, I'll consider, uh, let's say, Revelation 11, 17 to 18, 16, Revelation 16, 5 to 6. The elders are thankful that God's judgment has finally come. You are just, oh God. That's a summary. So then who is God? The attributes of God. Number one, God's eternal. He has no beginning. He exists before the creation of everything. That's called eternal. He has no ending. He was there even before time began. The second thing, omnipresent. God's presence cannot be isolated. It's the wind. It's like the wind. It's present everywhere else. Whether you are in Africa or in Asia, whether you are in Australia or in America. God's presence in the past, in the present, and the future as well. Omniscient. He knows everything, not only including the past, not only the present, but the future. Not only about the future, what's happening every day in your life. Omniscient. God is omnipotent. He is able to do anything. He is powerful. Everything can come from Him. He is righteous. He is holy. He is love. He is just, or justice. God is not merely loving, He is love. In His awesomeness, full of love and full of justice. Then where does love and justice meet? Love means you love your children, you can feel. You love your friends, you can feel. But justice means if your children commit some errors or mistakes or they do something wrong, they have to follow a standard where they can correct themselves. That's justice. Even the God love us, we human or from the creation, Adam and Eve committed sin. So God is not only love, He is also just or fair. So He gave an alternative, the cross. In the cross, love and justice met together and fulfill where you and I can be called children of God. That's where the love of God and the justice of God fulfill in our life through Jesus Christ. Thank you very much for listening to this lecture. If you will tune in for the next lecture, I'll be very happy. Please also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Muan Tang, or it's also in Facebook. And from time to time, I'm gonna bring so many interesting topics that is dealing with life, difficult questions, and how to live well in in the world based on the Bible or the Christian teaching. Thank you very much for tuning in. May God bless you. Have a good